Welcome to the Too Busy to Eat Show. I am Greg Zuffalato, the host of this show. And today on our show, we have Ashley Reeves. She has the website ashleysfreshfix.com. But more importantly, her Instagram is just an amazing community. And it's also Ashley's Fresh Fix. Those links will be in the show notes. So she has a very, very interactive Instagram account where she gives recipes, advice for nutrition and exercise, and just really positive body image messages. It's just, she's very interactive. Actually, I don't know if I've seen a community that is as interactive as Ashley's. So I encourage you to check it out. Her story is great. How she manages, 4 kids, a business, a family, and how she achieves a life balance in all of that, with all the things pulling her from different directions. So great. So I can't wait to share Ashley's interview with you. But at the end, if you like this interview, I would love for you to comment or leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Let me know what you think. All right, now it's time for the interview. Well, welcome, Ashley. I'm so excited to have you on the Too Busy to Eat show. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
That's great. And I know you got kids, you got family, there's business, and it's great to have just you carve out the time for us today. So thank you.
Yeah, happy to help.
So I know a lot about you, but not everybody does. So why don't you just kind of tell us your journey, what got you in the direction you're going and what kind of led you to where you are today?
Yeah. So I started blogging, just like little dieting tips and stuff like that about 10 years ago. I had lost 70 pounds. I'd gone through this big weight loss journey and I felt like I wanted to share. So I started a blog and it was, mildly successful. I just had no idea how people monetize blogs. I honestly just did it for fun.
Right.
And then I did that for probably like 3 years and it just got to be a lot to handle. And I had 2 kids and I just decided to give up because I couldn't handle the stress of like more commitment. And at the time I was actually running a tutoring company at the same time. And I just, there's only 24 hours in a day.
Right.
And so I ended up quitting the blog, but when Instagram came out, it had been out for a while, but when I got on Instagram, it's probably been about 5 years ago. I kind of saw that as a place that was almost easier than blogging. So I could quickly share recipes, I could quickly share tips. And so I kind of started up again and it was really fun. And I noticed I was able to be connected with people with similar interests a lot quicker on Instagram than I ever had on blogging. And so I just kind of ran with it because I still had this passion for like healthy eating and nutrition that I wanted to share. And blogging just took so much time, but Instagram was instant. It was so easy. So I started sharing tips on there and I had another baby. So I was working on weight loss again. And it was just a really fun place to be. After about a year of active Instagramming, I randomly met a guy. He honestly walked through my house to buy my house because I had my house up for sale. Yeah. And he worked in social media and he was like, do you have any idea what an account like yours is worth? And I hadn't even thought of it like a job. Yeah. And he was like, you need to start monetizing this. So slowly I kind of started playing around with some different options, but that was probably 4 years ago since I started taking it a little bit more seriously as a business. And since then, I've also have the Instagram, which is my main business now, but I still have a blog and I do lots of different work, but now it's like my full-time job running social media. And I love my little micro community are a bunch of moms. They're usually pretty busy and they're all just kind of looking for simple, attainable health tips. And I just had a 4th baby a year and a half ago. And so I'm on yet another. The great thing about having so many kids is you have so many weight loss journeys. So I'm working on that too, but it's kind of been fun to watch that space evolve where I used to share dieting tips and recipes. It's kind of become a place that I also share a lot of like body positivity stuff for women.
Yes,
and
right.
embracing their life and their body. And so that's kind of what it is now. It's a full-time gig. I love the people, and it's just been really, really fun.
That's fantastic. But so the first time you went through it, you were able to, I mean, it was hard to keep up with. And so with all the things, now you have more kids, more demand because your audience is much bigger. How do you manage all that now? Is it, what are the tricks there?
I don't know. One of my friends gave me the best advice where she said, a balanced day is impossible, but a balanced life is. Meaning that sometimes you start to feel like all I did today was work and I didn't spend any quality time with my kids, or all I did today was spend time with my kids. I didn't get any work done. And I would start to get really hard on myself because I was juggling, once my blog picked up, I still had my tutoring company. And I also was doing some business consulting. I had like 3 jobs in the air plus 4 kids, and it just felt like a lot. But I felt, I love that advice because I felt like on different days I was able to focus on different things. And that's kind of been how I've survived this business life, is I just dedicate certain days to certain things. I have days I have babysitters come and take care of my kids, and those are my work days. The days I'm home, I try really, really hard to just focus on my kids and being home. On Saturdays and Sundays when my husband's home from work, we try to have those be family days. And so, it's kind of a lot of time management.
Right. No. And so over the years, you've learned to get that balanced life in the end. It doesn't have to equal. That's interesting. I like that because you're basically batching your days, you're batching work days, family time, connection time, but to make it work.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So what were in that growing process? So, you have tremendous success in social media and reaching a large group of people. What were some of the hardest parts where you were during that journey?
I think that valuing myself enough to push forward to those goals was big. I had a degree in elementary education, and for a long time, I didn't really take social media seriously, and I didn't really think I had the skills to run a business off of it. And I don't have a business degree. I don't have a marketing degree. But what I did do is I just immersed myself in books and podcasts, and I surrounded myself with women who were like-minded. I would go to any conference I could get my hands on a ticket. I would show up. I would learn from women who I admired that were building businesses and using social media to do that. So in a way, I was kind of like self-taught, that I kind of just threw myself into it and learned as much as I could and just tried to keep swimming. And because of that, I think I was able to kind of formulate my own way of how to run a business like this. Some other struggles I had, for a long time, I also was really hesitant to put myself out there as like a healthy blogger.
Sure.
Up and down and whatnot, and really look the part. And so I felt like I didn't want to put that label on myself that I was a healthy blogger, because I didn't want people to look at me and be like, wait, but how? And so that was another struggle I kind of ran into. But then once I kind of embraced, like, you can look however you want, and you can still have goals and ambitions to be healthy and do your best every day to try a little harder to be a little better at those goals. And I think I was able to find a really special little place online of women who wanted to try that maybe weren't at a CrossFit gym 6 times a week. And, it was just, there's still a place for people who are trying their best.
Yes,
and that's really where I found my community, people who are trying their best.
Yeah. And that's great. I mean, it's real life. People are going through right alongside you. I mean, and you're setting an example, you're inspiring people. But it's real. It's you're not putting on a show or doing it for anything other than yourself, and then to help those around you, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, when was there a time where have you always just knew you wanted to do this, or was there a time where you're like, this is what I should be doing? I mean, did you get to that point?
Yeah, like I said, I had a degree in elementary education, so it took me a while to see this as a viable job. for a long time, I thought, okay, I'm just going to ride this wave as long as I can because there's no way this is going to last forever. And so I just had it in my head like, okay, what can I do to get the max out of the time where people actually are following me and people actually care? And I was convinced for a while, I just was like, I'm sure I'm going to wake up one day, all these people are going to unfollow me because they're like, we're tired of you, no one cares. And honestly, I would say even in the last like year and a half, I've eventually realized this is the place for me, because for me, I kind of think it's like a feelings thing. Like I notice when I try things when doors shut and when doors open, and I have had my hand in so many business opportunities. I've done business consulting, I've done tutoring, I've sold products on Amazon, I was a teacher, I had my hand in all this other stuff,
Yes.
but the doors kept closing. But this realm, the more I put into it, the more doors open, like more opportunities, more just more doors were opening in social media and in blogging and in business. And the only doors that I thought would close never did. The doors of, not looking the part, the doors of, I don't have a degree in this, I don't know what I'm doing. And for a long time, I kind of felt like I was faking it till I made it. And then I kind of realized I'm good at this. And the doors are open. And so I just kept walking through them, and then more doors would open. And then I just realized this is absolutely where I should be.
So now what keeps you going after knowing this is what you should be doing? What keeps you going?
Okay. So when I started really focusing in on what my community was and what the person was that was following me, like who they were, what they responded to, I just kept going back to this visual I had of a big, huge kitchen table. I share a lot of recipes, healthy food on my page, but I never really had like the passion of like, I love sharing recipes, but that's not where I'm like really drawn to people. People don't bond over mac and cheese recipe or whatever. So I just realized that I'm able to facilitate awesome conversations and feelings of love and acceptance over this table. So I imagine the conversation that goes on around the table and over the food being what's really valuable about my brand.
Right.
And conversations tend on my social media accounts, the conversations tend to lean toward love and acceptance and body positivity and, having perseverance through struggles. And so when I get a comment from someone, whenever I share something and they say, I really needed to hear this, I just automatically am like, okay, goal met. Like I just want to reach at least someone in every post I do. And I've been really fortunate that I can't think of a single time I put my heart out there and shared something vulnerable online that I haven't gotten, dozens, if not more, of people saying, I identify with you. Like, I know how you feel. This is something I'm going through too. And that really has driven me to create things and resources and be more vulnerable with the people that I have online.
And it is, you have a very, very active community, very responsive community. So that means that you are, it's not just an active account, it's a very, very interactive account, which is an interactive community, which is great. Because I was looking through the posts you do. You're getting massive responses on every time you post, which means you're making an impact.
I try.
So now balancing, what are some of the things as you reach out to people? There's a demand on your time. There's a demand on all the different pieces there. What kind of steers you away from being as productive as you want to be? What are some of the barriers, I guess, or the obstacles?
Let's see. So do you mean like steers me away from my business or just from my time in general?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier about, reaching that balanced life. What throws that off?
I think when I am not as intentional, I get thrown off.
Right.
It's still, I do feel really balanced now, but I have to be intentional. Like every Sunday night, I usually sit down with my husband and we go through the month or the week, the things that we have to do as a family, who needs to be where. I'm so lucky that I have such a supportive spouse because my schedule is all over the place. I never know what it's going to be like, usually till the week of. And we just kind of pick up the pieces where we can, get babysitters where one of us can be there. But I think I just have to be really intentional with my time. And the weeks that I don't, I've noticed the weeks that I'm like, well, I don't have that much going on this week. I'm not going to worry about sitting down and getting things organized. That's where things fall through the cracks. And my to-do lists aren't getting checked off. And I have to be like, one of my friends told me, like, you have to treat it like a business to get the results of a business. And, most people, if they're running a business, they have to be really intentional with their time. They have to make sure they're getting max capacity out of every minute they're putting in.
Right.
And so, that's been a roadblock for me, is if I'm not intentional with my time. I think also the comparison trap gets rough in social media. I think it's really hard to just look ahead and not look to your side. Girls that lose way more weight than me in half the amount of time, but that doesn't do me any good looking to my side. Like, I just have to look ahead and focus on what my goals are for myself and not compare myself or my business to what other people's stories are,
Yeah. And that's really difficult. I mean, it's Instagram itself is full of images that, a lot of them not even real. I mean, they're just, and you're flooded with this. Here's what in this instant somebody looks like, and it's not always real. So you're trying to compare to that. But in reality, you're helping people with a real life experience. You're providing, it doesn't matter what degree you have or where you are, you're providing real life tips for people to be successful. And that is, and obviously it's working for a large group of people that you're reaching, and they want to see the real life example, and you're having success, and you share real information. It's great. I mean, it's inspiring to see.
Thank you.
So, if everything was going, like, if you didn't have any kind of hiccups throughout the years, I guess it's kind of hard to forecast this, but is this what, this isn't maybe what you started to do, but if everything went perfect along in life, do you think this is what you'd still be doing? You think your journey would have taken you to where you are today?
If everything had gone perfectly?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. I'd probably be a lot farther if everything. I took, there was some times in the 4-5 years I've been doing this actively, there's been times I've taken good chunks of time off. Like, both the times, there was, when I was pregnant with my 4th child, I could not function as a human. Right. And I just didn't do anything for like 3 months. I maybe Instagrammed once or twice. And I was positive when that I had lost my business. I was like, there's no way anyone's going to care when I come back, but I just could not handle. And so I just, I had a really gracious audience. And when I did come back, they were super nice and really supportive. And I do think sometimes about time I've lost, oh, that was a lot of time. There was so much momentum around this thing happening, and I really could have, provided value there. But I think I just have to trust the process. Like, that wasn't a time where I know my limits, and I was at capacity and way over at that point. So it was all I could do. Maybe stepping away actually helped me in the long run.
I was about to say, and it proves your value, because the effort and the time and the relationship equity you put in, because they stayed with you when you came back. I mean, that's a very good test to something if you're really making an impact, because you take 3 months off and you're like, okay, I'm here, I'm back. And then they come back to you. That says, well, that means you had a lot of added value in your lives before, which is great. Now that you have 4 kids, you're running a business, you got a lot of demands. What would you say to that person that is trying to manage it all, busy life, on the go, trying to succeed, but still have life balance? What kind of advice would you give them to start?
I always say, give yourself grace. I think you're trying the best you can. And sometimes we hit this, this bump in the road of perfectionism, like wanting things to be a certain way. One of my good friends that I work with, her name's Allison Faulkner. She always says, done is fun. And sometimes it's not perfect. And sometimes it doesn't look like what you need it to, but like done is fun. Like just to have things done and not worried
Yes.
about, with a business, sometimes you just have to say, okay, this is going to have to be good enough to go. Cause if I spend much more time on here, it's going to pull away from everything else.
Right.
In healthy eating, sometimes like pre-prepped stuff makes it easier to continue on with your healthy eating goals, because that's better than like completely messing up. So sometimes cutting corners, people think is like shameful or it's the worst thing you could do. Don't beat yourself up. Like do what you can to make your life easier. Take the shortcuts where you can that still keep you on track. And but yeah, I think like give yourself grace. Look for ways you can maximize your time, and don't be embarrassed if it's not like the level of perfection that you wanted, because done is fun. And it's progress over perfection, and all those fun little quotes that I have all over my mirror.
Yeah, yes. That's an encouragement. And that is what stops people from moving forward a lot of times, is because they're looking for perfection, or they're not, they can't get past it not being exactly how they want it, or the way things that they want. And that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
Now, all right, you have a great Instagram. You have you have your website. What's the best place if somebody wants to start learning from you, being inspired by you? What's the best place for them to follow you?
Instagram is definitely where the party's at. I have lots of great content on my website, but it's mostly just recipes. Instagram is where you can really come get the vibe of acceptance and all sorts of fun. We have recipes there too, lots of body positivity, motivation, weight loss stuff. There's lots of the parties on my Instagram for sure.
I'll go to Instagram. That would be Ashley's Fresh Fix.
Fresh Fix. Yep.
Ashley's Fresh Fix on Instagram. Yes. That's awesome. It'll be in the show notes too, so people can find it nice and easy. I've been on it. It's fantastic. It's interactive. There's a huge community there. It's fantastic. So I wish you the best. I thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. And I look forward to seeing what I'm learning from you as you go, because your Instagram is pretty impressive to model after. So
thank you.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was good to chat with you.
Thanks. You too. Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.